Okay, I don't actually know how I'm going to follow that. Amazing. So hi everyone. My name is Jade Marks. I'm the Science Communication Manager for the Museum of Natural History. I see many familiar faces in the room. Show of hands, how many folks have worked with a museum in some capacity before? Okay, great. That's like about half of the room. Phenomenal. So I'm hoping today to have kind of something for everybody, some kind of foundational information for people who haven't worked with a museum who would like to, sneak peek of new exhibits and things we're doing behind the scenes that might appeal to some folks who are really familiar with our programs already, and then kind of give a window into where the museum is going in the next 5 years with our new strategic planning process. But as an icebreaker, because this is the Museum of Natural History and we believe in participatory learning, we're going to start with a little activity. So I need 3 volunteers. 1, 2, 3. Okay, phenomenal. Come up here. Okay, so we're going to line up. We're going to be partners. You two are going to be partners. We're just going to line up like this, facing your partner. Brilliant. Okay, so you all are going to be the recipients of the gift. We're going to be the givers of the gift. Awesome. Got it? Okay, so I'm gonna hand a box to my partner who's going to say, "What's in the box?"
What's in the box?
It's a gift. Now you get to decide what's in the box.
It's like improv.
Yes, yes.
Yes, and?
Yes. So you're going to open the box and tell me what's inside it.
Oh my gosh, there's a dinosaur bone in the box.
Yes. You know, working so close to the museum, I really wanted you to feel like you were a part of what we do. And what better way than to give you your own Majungasaurus bone? Please don't tell our exhibits team. Okay, would you like to give Anne a gift?
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you. I have to open the box.
Yep.
Oh gosh. It's a t-shirt.
Oh, great. I've been looking for that.
Why did you give Anna a t-shirt?
I give all my favorite people t-shirt.
Oh, phenomenal. Okay, now we're going to reverse it. You're going to give the gift now.
Here you go.
What's in the box? Oh, cool. It's a cool beanie. Thanks.
Yeah, I thought you liked Ulster. Oh yes, rugby.
Phenomenal. Oh, what's in the box?
Oh, lots of tissue paper.
Oh gosh, so much tissue. Oh,
Oh my
God,
gosh.
it's so tiny. Oh, it's the finger bone of a bat from the RMC.
Oh my gosh.
It's tiny.
I did not mean to put that. That was in my wallet and I meant to give you $5. I mean, that wasn't in my wallet. Can I have that back?
Okay, thank you all. Wait, before you go away, let's give them a round of applause. Okay. So, did you know what your partner was gonna say? No clue. No clue. So how did you know how to react to them? Yes. Such as, right, you were paying attention, right? I saw you watching me pull out the tissue paper, so you were paying attention to like nonverbal signals. And that was kind of interesting because I hadn't actually decided what was in the box. I was actually panicking because I didn't prepare myself for this activity. But then once you like acknowledge tissue paper, I was like, okay, it's got to be small, whatever it is. So yeah, context clues, body language. So why might we have led with an activity like this? I'm so glad you felt something. Yes, and?
maybe when you're engaging with people in public who have diversity of backgrounds and opinions, you don't necessarily know how they're going to react to information.
100%, right? You don't always know how people are going to react to the information you give them. And communicating science is, in some regards, a little bit like improv. You have to use context clues, you have to pay attention to nonverbal communication, and you have to make it personal. So this is the ethos at the Natural History Museum, right? Learning is personal, and communication is something you participate in, not something you do, which is one of the reasons that all of the professional development we do and all of the ways that we help support researchers in sharing their science really hinges on this focused individual engagement or getting face-to-face interactions with museum visitors. So we are really aiming to be a place where people can come to get face-to-face with cutting-edge science and real scientists, where people can embark on a journey of lifelong learning and build personal connections. And you are all a huge part of that process. So for those who don't know me, I've been working at the museum for 6.5 years now. My academic background is in applied biogeochemistry. I have a undergrad in environmental science and a dual master's in soil science and botany and plant pathology. And I worked in environmental consulting for a while after I graduated, which is really when I started to realize that as much as we talk about society having a science literacy problem, scientists also have a social literacy problem. In 2018, I accidentally took a job in a museum, and I never looked back. So I have the great privilege of being able to help with that literacy gap. So that's a little bit about me, in case you don't know me. So today, as I mentioned, I'm hoping to give something for both the folks who have worked with us before, the folks who never have, and hopefully get people excited about what's to come. So I'm going to start with some of the programs and opportunities at the museum, how we can elevate each other, give you a sneak peek at the new exhibit that's going in the changing exhibit gallery in our lower level, and then introduce you to our new strategic plan. Good, cool. So part one, programs and opportunities. There are a lot of ways to get involved with the museum and to showcase your research. We have opportunities for faculty, postdocs, grad students, and undergrads, so a little something for everyone. I've kind of picked like 5 of the big things. This isn't everything, but this is just kind of what we have time for today. So I'll give you a little context for what each of these programs are. But the bottom line is that we are, next to the football team, one of the most public-facing arms of the university. And it's our goal to be the portal to the community, to the research that's happening here at U of M. Bottom line, we want your science to reach more people, right? So the first way to kind of get engaged and get outreach opportunities through the museum is our Science Communication Fellows program. So this program provides professional development and inquiry-based learning. Everybody develops a tabletop activity about their research and then showcases it at the museum during one of our scientist spotlight events. So these are our most popular and well-attended events. How many SciComm fellows do we have in the room? I see at least 4. I know at least 4. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Some of your pictures may have ended up in here. So EEB has always had a really strong presence in our Science Communication Fellows program. Folks love learning about the research you all do. And while we do spend a lot of time focusing on the public and the community, we also host special events for the U of M community. So I run a program called the Women in Science and Engineering Night at the Museum. So we host a special scientist spotlight that features women and gender expansive presenters who come and talk with first and second year students. There's like 125 first year students who come to the museum to explore the galleries and learn about getting involved with research. So it's super fun. If you're interested in applying for the program, we run it every fall and winter semester. It's a 6-week training program. We have evening workshops. We feed you a little snack so you don't pass out. The curriculum is all based on an NSF supported program called Portal to the Public, which several of our educators are certified in facilitating this program. And at the end of it, you participate in 2 spotlight events. And in addition to having a phenomenal time, we give you 2 free planetarium passes and a complimentary museum membership. So hopefully some of you will apply next year. Let's see, oops. And we can't let faculty and grad students have all the fun. We want to have some opportunities for undergrads too. So I teach courses in science communication and science outreach. One of them through the Applied Liberal Arts program. And just this semester, I picked up MCDB's Science Outreach for Biology. We have a couple undergrads enrolled in that class right now from EEB. So folks in those classes get to develop hands-on activities the same way that faculty and grad students in our fellowship program do. Basically, the first 3 weeks of the curriculum is the same. And then we go off script and talk about other things like science writing and social media. These courses also allow undergrads to get some community engagement experience. So we do a collaborative partnership with the Office of Sustainability and Innovations at the city, the Huron River Watershed Council. We've worked with the public libraries before. We've worked with We the People Opportunity Farm before. Even your winter terms, keep an eye out for it. We also have Science Cafe, Science Pub programs. How many folks have been to a Science Cafe before? Nice, thank you. So the museum hosts these Science Pub programs 3 times a semester on Wednesday nights at Connor O'Neill's, which is the Irish pub on Main Street. We often have faculty in EEB or grad students in EEB present, along with all various other disciplines across the university. And in fact, you can come support your colleagues and mentors in February when we're hosting Cody Thompson and Ben Danzer for Weathering Winter, How Our Animal Neighbors Conquer the Cold. Also, shout out to IT. Have you guys seen this? The squirrel came out as like we're transitioning away from Duo. Their timing could not have been better. I don't know if Ben and Cody have seen this. But I don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble for this, but I'm definitely co-opting their mascot to advertise for this event. Yeah, so that's on the 25th, so I hope to see some of you there. So science cafes can be part of a broader impacts program or not. So if you have outreach requirements for, say, an NSF grant, we can fold this program into that. Or if you just have a great idea or something you're excited about, send me an email and we will see what we can make happen. So show of hands, how many folks are familiar with the broader impacts process for collaborating with the museum? See a couple people just knowing, working the crowd. So just in case I don't want to leave anyone behind, as most of you in the room know, a lot of funding agencies require essentially 2 kind of components for any research grant. Scientific merit, right? Is it good science? And then broader impact. So how is that research going to have value beyond the scientific community? So the museum has been partnering with faculty across the university for the past 20 years on this. If you are interested in working with us on a grant, this is the real quick crash course of how it happens. So a PI can reach out to our grants manager and say, hey, I want to work with you guys. There's an initial meeting where the PI gets together with the museum team and discusses all the exciting ideas you might have. And we really try to help you think about where your science fits best, right? So if you happen to be studying a topic that shows up in a K through 12 school system, we might nudge you in that direction a little bit. Or if you have something that's just visually stunning, it may lend itself really well to an exhibit. So we come up with a broader impacts plan that includes a budget, a letter of support from our director. And when your grant gets funded, not if, when, we'll, bring those ideas to life and people can come to the museum and learn about the work you do. So if you are a postdoc or a faculty member, I hope that you get to participate in this process. We love sharing your science. So as I mentioned, we've been doing this for a minute. Right now we're working with over 20 different units across campus. So the College of Engineering, chemistry, EEB, all sorts of folks. We're currently working on 40 funded projects. And the fun fact that we often like to share is that even though the national acceptance rate or funding rate for NSF career proposals is about 20%, 40% of the proposals that we send out into the world get funded. So hopefully this is kind of a mutual benefit. So what can broader impacts projects be? Well, a lot of things. We've got exhibits, planetarium shows, science communication opportunities, education and outreach opportunities. Once again, I won't go through all of them, but I would like to show some case studies of like cool stuff that folks in EEB have done in the past. So SciComm Fellows can be part of your broader impacts plan. We have a number of people every semester who participate in this. And if you're a faculty member whose NSF grant includes SciComm Fellows, all of your students and all of your postdocs automatically get admitted to the program. We also have activities in our public investigate labs. So these are hands-on interactive spaces where families can come kind of at any time during the week and do some hands-on science learning. Our lab manager works directly with the researchers to put together something that's not only kind of reflective of the science, but also touches on some of the play-based learning that we try to implement at the museum. So Lacey Knowles had a couple programs in the Investigate Lab. Last year, Allison Davis-Rabosky is getting Investigate Lab activities coming in a couple months. So we're really excited about those. We have exhibits great and small. How many folks have seen these little modular exhibits around the building? Yeah. We call these research stations, and they are a multimedia space that is a little snapshot of a faculty member's research. This one is Dan Rabosky's, and after these get archived, they end up going on our website where we share them out with teachers so that they can continue to serve as a learning resource for K through 12 educators. And then there's big exhibits. So we have two rotating or changing exhibits. One is the collections case, which really focuses on the collections that are housed in the 4 research museums. This was a collaboration with Allison Davis-Rabosky about some of the specimens that she was CT scanning. Have phenomenal specimens that normally aren't showcased to the public. We get to put those in this case, which is really exciting. We also have the student showcase. So this always focuses on undergrad work, whether that's a class or an undergrad research project. This is the one about the biostation. We've also had UROP in there. So a cool way to share what undergrads are doing. So if you are teaching an undergrad class where there's a research product, this is a potential opportunity for you. Okay. Exhibits. I promised I was going to give a sneak peek of what's going in our new space. But before I do folks have questions, comments, concerns, thoughts about any of the partnership stuff? No? Okay. Yes.
I like I want to design an exhibit. How long does that take from when you have the first thing, like when it actually gets put up for the public to see?
So it kind of depends what it is. So for the career awards, they're 5-year awards. So we meet with faculty in April and kind of get initial ideas. And then I believe the grant application is due in July. Anybody in here know that for sure? No. And then we would be prepared to potentially, move on certain aspects of the project the following academic year. But if it's a 5-year grant, obviously we are planning out through, 2030 right now in terms of what's going in our exhibits, what's going in our labs. If it's a smaller grant and you're maybe just doing like science, like the communications fellows program or something like that, or having a guest lecture or a program for your undergrad class, we might be able to move on that a lot faster. So exhibits like this, also they stay up for a year. So, if we have, if there's usually like a year of planning and then a year of exhibiting, if that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So speaking of exhibits, how many folks have been down to the lower level where we have our changing exhibit gallery? Oh, thank goodness. Yes. It's kind of tucked away. We're working on, signage and kind of getting more people down there. So in mid-February, we are installing a new exhibit about microplastics. We really wanted to highlight how U of M researchers are tackling the microplastics problem from all sorts of different perspectives. So this came out of, there's some kind of foundational work done by a faculty member in chemistry who had an exhibit at the Dawson Great Lakes Museum. And we wanted to kind of illuminate just how much plastic people really use in their daily lives, but also leave people with a sense of agency and a sense of hope, right? Because a lot of the messaging around things like climate change and biodiversity loss and microplastics and water quality, like it can be heavy. An interesting challenge is we also became aware while we were kind of generating the content for this exhibit that we actually use a lot of plastic when we build an exhibit. So thinking about how are we going to minimize the plastic that we create when we're doing this installation. So I mentioned that there was some foundational work done by Anne McNeil. The good news is like this exhibit, it was rooted in science. Anne was consulting on everything. So it was really like well vetted, great foundational information. It was interactive. However, after doing some kind of surveying of people who are coming through the exhibit, it came out that people felt like they left not knowing what to do next. And of course, there's more to the story. This is just one person, right? One person who's looking at microplastics from one perspective. So to solve some of these problems, we started partnering with community organizations and other institutions on campus to try to source as much as we possibly could for this exhibit without buying anything. So our exhibits director sent out a, oh, hi. Oh, there we go, great. Sent out a spreadsheet to all of our staff with like things that were needed for the exhibit. We crowdsourced a bunch of stuff. We got donations from the Huron Rivershed Water Council. We got donations from Common Cycle, which is the bike co-op in town.
You're not hitting the mute button. Sometimes those have buttons on them, like it's on the top, where you can actually blank out the screen.
I will press all the buttons.
Still showing. So.
Yeah. I will press all the buttons.
Like 7 seconds.
Well, oh, there it is, on Zoom at least. Projector's working. All you. Oh, we know who the expert in the room is.
But it's not working. See battery.
So I do find it to be very funny that right before I was going to show you some content that no one outside of the museum has ever seen.
Redacted.
Yeah, apparently it all got redacted. They were like, you don't need to see our mock-ups. Very funny.
Unplugging it, plugging it back in.
Hey! That's okay.
There we go.
Okay, no laser pointer. I'm fired from laser pointer. That's okay. Wouldn't be the first time. Yeah, so we got a lot of materials that would have otherwise been thrown out from LSA Sustainability. We got a bike from the local bike co-op. And we were able to really minimize our environmental footprint for this exhibit, which I think is really exciting because I'm sad to say it's not necessarily something we were doing with as much intentionality before this. And so I think this is really going to serve as a model moving forward. So here's some of our mock-ups. This is what we're hoping for. When you walk through the space, it's really intended to be like walking through someone's home, where the plastics and then the microplastics that are generated from those plastics are kind of called out in this familiar space. So we've got like a living room area and a laundry room area. This is actually a window that's cut out so you can like see through to other parts of the exhibit, kind of like a teaser. We got the appliances donated from a local business. And so this is the other side of that window. The color scheme was informed by an artist who was commissioned to create some call to action posters of how individuals can minimize their microplastics footprint, both through individual actions and collective actions like advocacy and lobbying. But one of the other fun parts that was really important to us was thinking about who is doing microplastics research across campus and how is the issue of microplastics being attacked from these different angles, from an engineering standpoint, from a chemistry standpoint. And of course, we couldn't do this without highlighting Melissa Duhame's work. So the Duhame Lab has a feature in this exhibit, making sense of microplastics with microbes, which is all about her research on the microbiome that colonizes these surfaces and affects microplastic degradation and where they show up in the water column. So we're really excited to be able to showcase her work. This is kind of the other view. So we're going to have some interactives, including a microscope where people can look at microplastics, some really nice high resolution images of what these microplastics look like in real life, as well as some like placemaking content. You know, what is the Huron River watershed? What is the microplastic kind of environment look like in our specific watershed? What are folks at the Huron River Watershed Council finding when they do their monitoring? Right now it's work in progress, but we're getting there, and we're really excited to share this with you on February 12th. It's our opening day. Yeah, we have a lot to do between now. Yeah, so I was really excited to be able to be kind of part of the team on this. Mostly looking at the text, the copy, and just reading it for accessibility. But it was neat to be a part of that process and learn more about how our exhibits team works. So super fun. Any questions about the new exhibit? Yes.
Michigan medicine research. Oh, thank you.
Any Michigan medicine research shown in this exhibit?
Unfortunately, we do not. Mostly because a lot of the research on the impacts of microplastics on our bodies is kind of still in process. There's not like really a clear consensus. We looked at 2 people who were studying microplastics in the human body, and ended up deciding to really focus on the environment, both because that body of work is still kind of evolving, and also because the environment is what we as a natural history museum really focus on. Yeah, I think it would be interesting though, you know, even if that work didn't end up in the exhibit, I think it would be really interesting to pull them in for programming. Yeah. Thank you. Oh,
Silly. There was a car in the mock-up. Is there actually going to be a car?
oh, good question.
Yes. Silly question, but there was a car in the mock-up. Will there actually be a car?
That is a great question. There will not actually be a car,
Wow.
but yeah. So this is one of the examples of how we've been trying to kind of rethink how we design exhibits. The car is going to be basically made out of cardboard. So like a cardboard and vinyl, you know, piece on the wall. There will, however, be a bicycle. And so one of the things that I learned through working on this exhibit is most of the airborne microplastics, at least that the research in Michigan has shown, they're actually coming from car tire rubber. So as those tires wear down on the road surface and you got to get your tires changed or your tires rotated, that material, which all used to be rubber but is now various other materials, wears down, creates microplastics, ends up in the environment. And so one of the things that, you know, we're kind of suggesting as a way to minimize your microplastics imprint is to take alternative transportation, bus, bike, walk, carpool, things like that. And I think we talk a lot about alternative transportation in the context of like carbon emissions, but this was for me, shockingly, as someone who's been a bike commuter for like, you know, 13 years, that was a shocking thing for me to learn, that the microplastics impact of vehicles is really significant. We do have a washing machine and a dryer, but no car. You'll let it. Thank you. Thank you. I love that. Oh, we got one more in the back.
Materials for accessibility, that was a role that you had. Is when you're creating these, are being local, that it's a consensus in sort of a museum world, or I think we've been thinking about this a little bit, like in plain language abstracts when we're writing applications. But what do you look for? Is there a level of reading that you are trying to hit when you're doing that accessibility check?
Most our kind of general rule of thumb, as far as like a target reading level, and I will be honest, it doesn't always happen, is like 5th grade. And I think here in Ann Arbor, just given the demographics and the types of people that come to our museum and kind of the fact that we are a university museum, we can, adjust that a little bit. But a good rule of thumb for any like public outreach is like a 5th grade level, particularly when it comes to technical terms. And one of the things that, we often think about is jargon, quote unquote, is not just field specific terminologies. It also includes things that mean something different to the scientific community than it means to kind of folks outside of the scientific community. So, terms like plate and, you plate a bacteria, and theory and invasive, and there are all these words, even like organic, right? We say organic and we mean something that has just has carbon in it, but that means something entirely different to someone who hasn't had chemistry in maybe ever, or at least in the last 10 years. So thinking both about, the technical terms, but also what we like to call caution words, where you could actually have confusion, like very, very unintentionally. Yeah.
On now. Yep. So I mostly interact with the museum by bringing a small human there. And they're definitely a pre-reader. They're 4. So I want to go to this exhibit and read everything, but they're not. So how do you make it so that younger children, do you aim and have any activities when you're designing something like this that they can engage with?
So we talked about that quite a bit, and there was some conversation really early on about maybe having some type of like play kitchen in the kitchen part of the exhibit. For whatever reason, our exhibits team decided to move away from that and really rely on the education team to design programming that was specific for hitting multiple age ranges. And that is one of the ways that, we have a group of people who are really in charge of the like what gets put in this space. And then we have the team of people that are in charge of like, how does this get interpreted? How do we make sure that we're hitting different age levels? How do we provide programming that the schools are gonna, want? I will say that we do have some fun interactives here that I think would be completely accessible to that age. We have, there's a wheel here.
Idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's different fabrics. Some of them are natural materials, some of them are plastic, some of them are a combination. And so it's kind of a mystery, like, can you guess what this material is? So something really tactile. They probably, that they compare to the clothes that they have on their bodies. So I think that'll be really fun. Trying to remember what other.
And I was like, they're going to be jumping all over your couch. Yeah, the dryer, the couch, the bicycle pedals are going to be spun like mad. And then they're going to be asking for snacks and to go see the dinosaurs again.
Yeah. So I will point out, here we go. These items may be destroyed in the process of using them for the exhibit. Don't give us anything you want back. Yeah, I think that was we talked a lot about that and the risk we were taking by making this like feel like a home and how people might interact with it. But it was also really important to drive home like this is in your everyday life and you have autonomy, you have decision-making power. So we'll be paying attention though. For your kids too. Okay, so in the interest of time, I wanna kind of land on this idea of what's next. So the museum has been working since our new director started on a new strategic plan. Really honing in on this idea that we are the front door. We are the front door to the University of Michigan, all the research that happens here, the front door to the departments that share the building with us, and that we want to be a place where people can draw connections between what has happened in the past, what is happening now, and where we're going in the future. So we also think a lot about how science works and how people learn science, right? How many of you learn the scientific method in elementary school? Most, like everybody, right? Of course, we know, you're researchers, you know that this is not how science actually happens in practice. It's cyclical. There are multiple entry points. It hinges on making observations, collecting data, identifying patterns, and then creating models that explain those patterns. And the practice is really multidimensional, right? So we've been thinking a lot about how that process is actually reflected in the relationships that we have with the research museums and with other academic units, right? So bear with me if you will. You guys know the collections here at U of M are incredible. There's so many resources for the academic community and for the public to learn from. And when we take those collections and we display them for the public using the exhibiting approaches that the folks, the educators at the Natural History Museum are trained to do, we create a space where people can really start to understand the complexity of life around us and how underlying patterns shape our world. And through the programming that we do, both the museum independently, but also through these beautiful collaborations, we get people making their own observations and thinking about how we can use the research, the science to protect the natural world, as well as to make life better for people. So, of course, this is all a cycle, right? We ask new questions, we develop our knowledge, we apply that knowledge, and you can really boil this down in some pretty accessible fifth grade terms, right? We wonder, we investigate, we discover, we reflect. And at any time in this process, we might be curators, collaborators, communicators, or creators. So this is the learning framework that we're implementing for all of our outreach activities and our public-facing educational materials. So so we're asking, how can our visitors design something? How can they participate in that process? How can they test their ideas and develop iteratively better models? And how can they create something new in every program we do? Allow our audiences to participate in the process of scientific inquiry. So what does this actually mean for like you? How many folks have participated in ID Day? Quite a few. Okay, amazing. So this is an annual event where people can come to the museum and get objects that they've collected or they found on their property identified by researchers, fossils, plants, et cetera, et cetera. EEB is one of the co-sponsors. Y'all have an amazing presence and literally make this event possible. Hundreds of visitors come through, hundreds of objects get identified. The interactions that people have are really life-changing at this event. But we know that this event was kind of created before Merlin and iNaturalist and Google image search, right? People don't have to come to the museum to get a plant identified or a rock identified or a feather identified. So how can we create more of these life-changing moments and really elevate the work that you all do. So what we're really hoping is to rebrand this event to focus on the power of collections and why they're important to biological research, integrate more community science into what we offer, try to work more closely with the marketing and communications team at EEB to make sure that our goals are aligning with your goals, and give our audiences opportunities to go through that process of wondering, investigating, discovering, and reflecting on what they learn. It also means hopefully more opportunities for unique collaborations. We had Thais Vasconcelos and Ali Baumgardner as the speakers at our annual Endowed Lecture this year. They were phenomenal. Did anyone attend? A couple people? Yeah. So we got Ali and Thais together with a perfumer and professional nose. So throughout the presentation, people got to experience the smells of the plants they studied. So there's a recording of this on our YouTube channel if you want to check it out. So it was a great time. You can see all of our audience members sniffing their little perfume blotters and smelling the Myrtaceae. So we're really hopeful that collaborations in the future look more like this. And so, you know, in conclusion, what's next? I think we should figure it out together. That's our contact information. Thank you for listening. I hope that I get to see all of you around even more now that you know how to be involved. Other questions? Yeah. For the Zoomers.
Hello. I was curious if you guys partner much with other museums of natural histories, either like at other universities, or just more broadly in terms of like idea formulation or that kind of thing.
It's certainly something we would like to do more of. Most of our partnerships are with local organizations who do science education. So like the Leslie Nature and Science Center, for example. I mentioned the Huron River Watershed Council earlier. We work with 826 Michigan, the writing nonprofit. We do a Writing Like a Scientist program. But in terms of like further out than that, it's sporadic. There's not like a kind of a system for it. So our last changing exhibit was Visions of the Post-Natural, which was a collaboration with the Center for Post-Natural History in Pittsburgh. So the director of that museum did these 3D photographs of his collection, and those came to the museum. The Center for Post-Natural History is all about like genetically modified, genetically engineered, selectively bred animals, and it kind of interrogates why most natural history museums kind of stop telling the story of evolution after humans come on the scene, right? Even though we are like irreparably altering the genome of so many organisms today. So that's one example of a wave that we've collaborated with another museum, but it's not, it's kind of like selective. We don't have like a plan for it. But yeah, I think we all have a lot to learn from each other.
I was thinking about how like the SciComm fellows all probably go out and maybe do like postdocs or like set up labs at different places, and they might have like natural history museums and that kind of thing. I was thinking about that as a mechanism for connecting different people.
Yeah, and we are hoping with part of this next big strategic planning push to do exactly what you said, like make sure that we have mechanisms in place so that the people who are trained through our programs can go out and take that knowledge and kind of spread it to the institutions that they end up with. I think that's we're on the same page.
Cool.
Any other questions?
I'm curious about sort of the ratio of work that y'all do that is like if you build it, they will come style, and what is taking the collections out to people. So like is most of the work you do building exhibits for visitors to come see, or does the museum also have programs that say like go out in classrooms or into communities?
We do. We do have programs that go out to classrooms and communities. So we have one member of our team who's the public outreach manager, and her job is everything that goes out. So we have school programs that teachers can have kind of come to their classes. She runs a program called Science for Tomorrow, where it's one of the broader impacts programs. So she works with a faculty member to develop a classroom activity about the research, and then she and the faculty member go out to the classroom and teach the science together. And then the reciprocal thing is that class ends up coming to the museum for a field trip. So we also often show up at like the big festivals like Huron River Watershed Days, which is it was at Island Park last year. It's been at Gallup in the past. So we also take our SciComm fellows out to the public libraries. We have a partnership with both the Ypsilanti District Library and the AADL. So we don't do as much of that as we used to, in part because of staffing and budgetary constraints, but we definitely have a team of people who are like working on that. Great question.
If there are no more questions, then thank you to Jade.
Thank you.
Oh.